everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the PVD Horror Podcast. I'm Brandon, and I'm joined by Dave and a special guest, writer, director, David Liz. Thanks for joining us again, man. I think you might be the first person that came on to the podcast twice as a special guest. The first episode was back in our first season in October 2021. Wow. So welcome back to the show, man.
It was all the way back then. I mean, it felt like it was the other day, October 2021.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy, man. Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for having me back. Thank you for accepting my my begging, my groveling to come back. I appreciate that. But I have a very good reason why I needed to come back.
Yes, you do.
And that's because, first of all, you guys were the first podcast to host me, to allow me to talk about my movie, The Welder. And now finally, it's going to come out.
Nice.
Yeah. And what I hear is that this episode is being released on the day it comes out. So it's quite amazing and very exciting.
So that's crazy. October 2021 to today.
Yeah.
2023. This is insane.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Season 1. Now you're on season 3. We just kicked
This is nuts. Guys, the thing is this, like the movie has changed quite a bit since you guys first saw it back in the day. Yeah, so it's actually kind of like it's not, I mean, it's the same movie, but it's a little bit different now. It's shorter, it's tighter, all the fat is gone. I mean, I really went out of my way to listen to what viewers were saying. So I sent this movie out to, friends, family, people in the film industry, and I got a lot of feedback. And if there were patterns, I kept getting the same notes. I addressed it because I am not like this all-seeing, benevolent, filmmaker that thinks my film is perfect no matter what. Hey man, this is my first movie. I'm listening to everybody, and I want to make sure that my film is as strong as it could possibly be. So it's changed a lot. I want to send it to you guys again. Actually, you could see it today. February 24th, the day it's released. Actually, you guys could see it today, the day that you and I are filming this.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's hard to sort of project.
I know.
Yeah.
I heard, is this a rumor, but I heard that it went from being a horror film to, with the most recent edits, now it's a romantic comedy. Is this
it went from horror, and then it had a little stint as a porno, but then we went back to romantic comedy, and then
clean it up.
We went back to horror.
That was too much, guys. Let's get it back here.
Too much. We had to film more stuff. We didn't have money to
let me ask you a question about that. So was there anything that you decided to cut out that was really hard for you? And you don't have to give descriptions if it's a spoiler.
There is a scene that has been completely removed. It's towards the beginning of the movie, and it's actually a very funny scene. Every time people saw this part of the movie, they laughed. And it was the scene where Elisa and Ro, they're walking through the property, and Dr. Godwin is sort of guiding them through, and he's giving them sort of the spiel. This property was built in 100 years ago or whatever. And they're just kind of talking crap about it and how dirty it looks. And then Rose starts saying, because they're supposed to go out to ride some horses. And he starts saying, I hope I could ride a stallion. I want to really ride a horse, and, et cetera, et cetera. And then when they get to the stables, he's given a pony. And for some reason that was really funny. People loved it. And it was kind of hard to cut it, but it was fat. It didn't really move the story forward. It slowed the pacing down. And heck, that took a few hours to film. When you film a movie in 9 days, a few hours is a lot of time, right? You can film a lot in a few hours. So it was hard to cut, but you know what? This is the thing. People just kept saying that they weren't connecting to it, that it was slowing down. And to me, the movie is the baby, and the baby needs its milk, and the baby needs to be taken care of. And if somebody says that the baby, it's got a thing in its eye, I'm gonna pull that thing out. And that's my approach. That's my philosophy. I want to make it as strong as I look. This is an indie film done with limited funds, and we compensated for that by spending a lot of time in post-production, listening to viewers, and making the film what it is today.
Yeah, if that baby is getting too fat, you got to cut the fat off that baby,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Isn't that what you do?
That's the sequel.
Yeah, man. So this film has been doing well in festivals. Congrats on winning the best feature at the Spooky Empire Festival.
Thank you.
What was it
Thank
like
you.
being able to travel all around screening this film?
Oh man, it was great. It was quite an experience. You know, I like being on set.
Yeah.
I like working with actors. I like getting dirt underneath my fingernails, like being there for 12 hours and holding the camera and just feeling like exhausted at the end of the day. But going to screenings, it gets my heart racing and like my palms sweaty, and it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking experience for me. But you know, it's fun because you get people sort of validating you. Hey, you know, your film is great or whatever. And as a filmmaker, as an artist, I think a lot of artists can relate to this. We're just incredibly insecure. And so when somebody tells you that they like your work, well, thank you. I will take more of that, please. Give me more, give me more, give me more.
No, I always say this is like making something and putting it out for people to see is like the most vulnerable feeling in the world. Like you literally feel like, oh my God, someone could tear me to shreds right now, and I'm gonna crumple in front of everybody. So when you actually get that positive feedback, it's like one of the best feelings in the world.
Definitely. Yeah, because you put so much time, effort, trust in the process, belief in yourself. You know, which you have to have because you're taking on such a big task making this film. So when people say that they like, and then also when you're editing, you second guess yourself every step of the way, like, oh, should I get rid of this? Should I not? Like, and you're so connected to the content, it's hard for you to step back and not be biased. So when you have other people that are seeing this project for the first time and they're enjoying it, it's great.
Yeah. Now let's take a little step back because I think we got too excited and we just kind of like jumped right into it. For the viewers, you know, that are new listeners, they probably haven't heard about the film or know what this is about. Can you kind of like give the listeners like the backdrop of the story and everything, like what it's about?
I've been hyping this movie up like as if all the viewers already know about it.
Yeah. They're like, what the fuck is he talking about? What is a welder?
Hey, my uncle's a welder. Hey, well, you know, he's not that scary. Well, look, the long and short of it is The Welder is a story about a young couple who go to a ranch getaway, kind of like a little vacation, and they're confronted with this evil doctor basically who is trying to cure racism by, I don't want to say too much, but by trying to weld society together. You know, I think that says a little bit, but
that was
there's so much
beautiful
more.
right there. That analogy is like so fitting, and people will understand it when they see it.
Yep, exactly. And so the thing with The Welder too is, I mean, the concept, and I don't remember if I spoke about this last time. Did I tell you guys where the concept for The Welder came from?
Refresh my memory because I can't remember it.
Yeah. So Manny Delgadillo, who's a co-writer, him and I were throwing ideas back and forth. What do we want to make the next script about? What do we want? So we knew we wanted to do horror, and we knew we wanted to tell a story that was socially conscious. And so we thought to ourselves, what's the catalyst? Like, how can we, you know, bring these ideas together in a way that makes sense? It's cohesive. Like, who's our villain? And Manny tells me, you know what? There's nothing like a childhood trauma. And he's like, when I was a kid, I used to go to the shop my dad had a welding shop, and sometimes he had extra work to do, so he'd go on the weekend, and Manny would sit down, watch TV while his dad was over in the corner welding. And sometimes when his dad was feeling a little comical, he'd turn off all the lights and he'd hide in a corner, and he'd be wearing the whole thing, the mask, the jacket, and he'd hold the torch. And then Manny would be walking around saying, "Daddy, Daddy, where are you?" And then his dad would pop up, and he had the torch blowing at full blast, and that image, just burnt into Manny's mind. And I'm like, man, the welder, he welds things together. Yep. That's unity. That's what we're looking for. You got it. That's it right there. We got it.
Now, has Manny's father watched this film yet?
Yeah, I think so. Manny's dad, he's a little older now, and he doesn't really speak English, but he understands the, us Latino. We are Latinos from Hialeah, which is the most Latino part of Miami. Yeah. Our parents don't speak any English. So we have to translate line by line.
It sounds exhausting, but glad they got to see it.
I'm so happy for subtitles, like Netflix or just Spanish dubbing. Netflix has just been a total game changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have to be the family translator anymore.
Why don't we just play a board game tonight, guys?
Yeah, for real. Seriously. So that's where the concept came from.
And one of the things that struck me about this film, and I think people are going to love this aspect of it, it's a beautifully shot film. You're talking about an indie film and you're saying on a lower budget, but when people watch it, that's not the vibe they're going to get. And I'll never forget the first day that I saw the trailer. Before we even spoke, I caught the trailer and I was like, wow. No, actually, no, you reached out or somehow we got in contact.
Yeah.
You sent the trailer. And
we had the similar names, and
that's right. Yeah, that's right. And you sent the trailer, and I was blown away. I was like, "Wow, this is amazing!" And the film is beautiful. So, I mean, the things that you were able to do on a lower budget are amazing. I'm very excited to watch the newly edited version, just to see how much it's been able to evolve since we got to see it in 2021. But I mean, people I think are really going to love so many aspects of this film.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dave. Filming it making it look good was very important to me. I've seen a lot of indie films where they just put cinematography to the side, and it just takes me out of it. I think suspension of disbelief is very important when you're watching a film that looks a little bit too gritty, for lack of a better word. It's harder to get into it. It's harder to see the saving graces in the film. And so I just didn't want the cinematography to be a distraction. I wanted it to look pretty within the within the scope of our budget. Because obviously we could have made it look even prettier if we had more money, but maybe that'll be the next movie.
Yeah.
But that was important. Yeah. And thank you for that. It was difficult, man. I was directing and doing camera. So it was, I was being pulled in so many directions, but yeah, that was, I look back at that time with a lot of fondness, and I just also remember how much my back hurt at the end of each day holding the camera. But we did it.
Yes. Yeah.
So back in March, you announced that you signed with Terra Films. What was that partnership like? How's it been so far?
Oh man, I'll tell you one thing. Distribution is one heck of a roller coaster ride. So making a film is one animal. Distributing a film is a completely different animal. So we were approached by dozens of different distributors over the last couple of years, and we just kept hitting a wall with each one for different reasons. Some of them wanted to hold our film for 10 years. Some of them wanted to put our film like in a catalog with a bunch of other, like hundreds of other films.
Yeah.
So our understanding was that a lot of these are just aggregators. They try to collect as many films as they can, and then they basically throw everything against the wall and see which one sticks.
Yeah.
And if yours doesn't stick, you're screwed. And now they have you by the balls for 5 years or more. So we were just not going to do that. We wanted the film to be seen. We could not allow our film to be shelved. Whether people love it or hate it, that's irrelevant to me. But I want them to have an opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
And when we got approached by Terror, after we go to Rain Dance, they find us, they hit us up. And what I like about them is that they're more of a boutique distributor. They don't take hundreds of films a year. They take 20 something films a year, and they focus on each film. Yeah. Each film needs to make them money or they can't keep the lights on. And I like that. So that was kind of like what sold me with Terror Films. And they're just really nice. You could send them an email, they'll respond to you right away. Cool. They keep you pretty much out of the dark when it comes to what's the next step. And they cover a lot of things too. They do a lot of promotion on their own. They cut a new trailer. That trailer that's on the Instagram right now, that was cut by them. It's very similar to the original, but they did a lot of new little things, which I really liked. So yay for Terror Films, man. And any filmmaker out there, please, I beg of you, study a little bit about distribution, learn about it, because if you want to have your film out there, you're going to need to navigate those waters, and there's a lot of sharks in there.
Yeah. Well, you're in good company because they have all the Hell House LLC films over there too, you know?
Yeah.
And also I noticed they got you into the Rue Morgue magazine and everything like that. So
they did, yeah.
So that's good partnership.
They've been getting us to a lot of magazines and getting us reviews, getting us on different podcasts. Actually, I was just on a radio thing earlier today. So it's like building up. I'm just like, you know, they got me busy, which hey, get me busy. Keep me busy. I want to talk about this movie. I want to get it out there. And yeah, they're great. They're great.
I don't think people actually understand that, like, if you do it right and if you do the festival route, the span of time that goes by before a movie actually gets released. I know that we've kind of seen this experience with some local friends of ours that have the movie Death Drop Gorgeous. They did the festival route, and for them to by the time they finished the film to when it actually was like fully released was like quite a bit of time. And I don't think the general public understands that. So like when we were talking about in October 21, you know, the film was done, but like it's only getting released now. Like, what's that like for you? I mean, I got to imagine you must be like, I just want everyone to see this. But like, I got to be patient, right?
Yeah, it's really a disheartening experience. I'm not going to lie. Like, there have been moments where it's just very frustrating. You want the film to be out there already. And you almost feel like a phony, if I'm going to be fully honest. So people are like, hey, you made a movie, right? Yeah. And where can I see it? Oh, you can't see it. Yeah, but didn't you do it like 2 years ago? Yeah, but it's not out yet. Like, did you really make a movie? Yeah, I promise. I made a movie. It's just, you know, the process or whatever. So yeah, to me, it's just an incredibly exciting time just to have it out there, to have people ask me about the movie, and then I can say yes and point them in the direction of Amazon or Tubi or whatever other platform it's going to be on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it let me tell you, man, there have been some dark days, and you start questioning, is this movie ever going to be released? Am I going to be able to make another movie? Hey, I'm being completely open on this podcast right now.
Yeah.
I haven't said this on any other podcast.
There you go.
I appreciate it. No, but that's, I mean, what you're saying is what I kind of sometimes can sense from other filmmakers too. You know, they're talking about a film that was done years ago, and it's finally getting its release. And like for some of them, I've actually almost been able to sense it's like it feels like so long ago for them. They're trying to like channel back like stories and recollections of something that like they've already mentally moved on to other projects.
Right.
But like, so I mean, I'm just glad for you that like you're getting this moment finally, because I'm sure it's been an exciting process to do the festivals and everything, but I can't imagine what this like actual release must feel like.
Amazing. It is just like what I've been waiting for. And once the Welder is out, I feel like I can sleep better at night, knowing that like something that I did is now in the ether.
Yeah.
And it can continue to entertain, scare, gross out whatever audiences all over the world, because it's getting a worldwide release. So
yeah,
as far as my understanding is they're doing like subtitles in different languages and dubbing in different languages. So this is going to be out, it's not getting a proper theatrical release, but hey, in 2023, what movies are making money unless you're Avatar, what movies are making money in theaters nowadays?
Yeah.
Which is sad, right? I think.
Yeah. Are you guys gonna do any like physical copies, like VHS or anything like that? Because a lot of people open to that now.
Yeah, Manny and I have been talking about it. A lot of people, there's like a big community of VHS collectors. And the answer for me is, if there is a demand, then I will definitely do it, because I feel like this movie would do really well as a VHS tape. Like I could see like the cover being really cool and retro, and I would love to put it on a VHS. People aren't into Blu-rays anymore, right?
I think they're still into it, but
it's better to be a little bit more retro.
Yeah.
VHS is good. VHS.
So, we talked a little bit about the inspiration, and you talked about how like the Welder idea. One of the things that people are going to immediately kind of recognize too is that connection to Frankenstein, right?
Yes.
There's like that's a big theme of this.
Yes.
So who came up with that aspect of it? And I lined up on my Frankenstein VHS right here just for this episode. So I do love Frankenstein, but where did that come from, and whose connection to Frankenstein was it?
Dave, that's a great question. Manny and I both love Frankenstein. We've seen every iteration of Mary Shelley's book.
Yeah,
we pay homage to the story in our film. Dr. William Godwin, who is one of the main characters in The Welder, that name is Mary Shelley's grandfather's name. We Wikipedia that, we have an Igor type character in The Welder. So we just love that film. We knew we wanted to pay homage to not only the slow burn horror films of the 70s, but the even older classical horror stories. We were throwing around, should we like do a nod to like Nosferatu, the vampire thing is a kind of like not gonna, this is like when we were first conceptualizing, because we wanted to have like an archetypal story that we could sort of structure our story around. And we just love, both of us are huge fans of Frankenstein, and I think it came from both of us. Like really, I don't even I don't know who said it first, to be honest, but we just both love Frankenstein so much, and we've been fans ever since. I mean, it's one of those things where like when you're a kid, you watch like the cartoons that they have on like during Halloween and stuff about Frankenstein, and then you find out that there's all these movies, and then you find out that there's a book, and then you start learning more about the writer, and anyways,
it's a perfect film to connect to your film, because as
Right.
you mentioned, you wanted to highlight, some like social issues that you
Right.
wanted to address. And Frankenstein actually does address some as well, but in like the guise of, this novel. But there's a lot of themes in Frankenstein, like feeling other, being outside of man, everyone else, and also like abandonment and all these other themes. So it's cool that you took a story that already was so rich in its themes, and you kind of, integrated the themes of today into your.
Absolutely. That's exactly right, Dave. And another thing now that just popped into my mind, I was transported back to the writing sessions that we would have. Manny, Javi, and Javi is another co-collaborator. We'd go to this Cuban restaurant on the corner and have Cuban croquetas and toasted Cuban bread, and it was the old ladies there loved us. They'd ask us, "When is your movie gonna come out? When are you making your movie?" But anyways, I think one of the reasons we chose Frankenstein 2 was because of the whole thing where like Dr. Frankenstein is putting the monster together with, body parts and all this, and it just like sort of made sense. It just kind of like fit together so perfectly. It was, but that so many good reasons to choose that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I know when you first starting the project, you get all these ideas, everything's rushing at you. You're like, I want to put a little bit of this. But like, I like that you guys ended up settling on, well, let's just go with this structure. Because this is obviously not the final project you guys are hopefully going to work on. So to my next thing is, what are your future plans for horror films or the horror?
Oh man. Well, so if there's a demand, we will do the Welder 2.
I knew it. I was going to say that. I was going to ask it specifically. You said it in 2021. You did say it. So I'm glad you said it again.
Yeah. And we already have the story completely outlined. We know exactly what's going to happen. So that's like ready to go if the demand is there. However, if the demand is not there, we have another movie called Grandma. Now, check this out. It's basically a horror film about the worst parts of Alzheimer's. And, Manny, his grandmother, in the last few years of her life was suffering with Alzheimer's. My grandmother suffered with Alzheimer's for 10 years. So this is a very personal story to both of us. Like we both experience what it's like to be the person caring for somebody with Alzheimer's, seeing them decline. But what is it like to be inside the mind of somebody dealing with this disease, and how terribly scared, and I mean, what a terrible situation to be in. I remember my grandmother would say sometimes out of nowhere, I'm afraid. And she'd just start shaking. I'm afraid. And I don't know what's going on in her head. She can't tell me. But man, it's just scary. And it's like another social thing, right? We want to continue telling stories that are socially relevant, and also we want to be tactful with this because we don't want it. People are caring for their parents, their grandparents, are dealing with this disease. So we don't want to like make light of it, but we definitely are going to take the concept, our horror concept, and wrap it around the aspect of the I guess the decline mostly, and from the perspective of the person going through it.
I witnessed my grandmother also passed from Alzheimer's as well. And it was sad. It's very sad watching it. It's fascinating too, some of the aspects of it. Towards the end, it was almost like she was living in her childhood. And she like started to talk about a sister who passed away, that like a little baby sister who passed away that none of us even knew she had. And I was like, that is amazing. And it was like she was there. it was such an
Wow.
interesting, but like, you know, like you said, it's sad, and you know, it's in imagining it. So it's actually kind of fueled me to like learn more about it and stuff like that. And you know, at my work, I do some trainings on it just
Oh,
because I
wow.
find it so fascinating. And it's
Yeah.
hard for people to, being a caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's is taxing and it's stressful. But imagine
it
being that
is
person with it. Oh my God.
horrible.
One of my wife's family members is also like has that now, you know, and then you just like I seen her last year. From now, it's just, you know, like you said, Dave, like just all the changes and everything that they go through, and it's hard to see, you know, and some family members, you know, like her father, like, you know, it's hard because it's like she's kind of on that decline now, and it's like he just wants to remember her when she was like doing well. And it's like, you know, it's like he's like I seen her, and it's kind of hard for me to kind of like go now and try to see where she's at. So I think that would definitely be like a great film for you to kind of like go and do, you know what I mean? Because it will hit home with a lot of different people, and then go off with the Welder too. You know what I mean? I think that that film would like stand out so much for you as a director,
I agree.
writer.
I agree, Brendan. And you know, I think that also giving space between the first one and the second Welder, it gives time for people. Like, because look, the reality is we don't know what's going to happen with the Welder. We don't know if it's going to never do anything, or maybe it's going to sit for a few months or a few years, and then all of a sudden, sometimes this happens, right? It just like somebody notices it, and then it can blow up at that point. Or hey, it might blow up from the very beginning. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to give it time, and I'll you know, it'll exist in the ether, and people will discover it little by little, and hopefully word of mouth will get out. And in the meantime, we'll be doing Grandma. We'll release that one, and then who knows? In a couple of years, the Welder 2 might be something people want to see, and we'll be ready. We got the bullet in the chamber.
There you go.
Ready to go.
Ready to go. Hey man, I just want to say thank you again, because last time you was on the podcast, you kind of gave me that heads up of Universal Horror Nights, because that was my first time going, and you was like, are you getting the fast pass? And I was like, no, I just got the regular ticket till I get the fast pass. And I'm like,
did you get it?
I got the fast pass. And then when I was in line looking at everybody else standing in line for 2 hours for one of the rides, I was just like, oh man, I was able to go through like every house, you know. So I was like, should make a shirt saying listen to Dave Liz.
Yeah. Hey, Brendan, I'm telling you, man, I would never go to Halloween Horror Nights without the fast pass. You might see 3 houses. Those lines are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
You
crazy.
know what it is to spend $100 on a ticket, and then you just stand there like sweating, because usually it's hot, and like you just like, and then you're going through the house for like 1 or 2 minutes, however long it is. No, you have to. I'm so glad you listened to me, Brendan. You're welcome. You're
and then it came full circle, because you know what the coolest house was that I've seen? The Frankenstein one, the Bride of Frankenstein. That one was sick.
Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah.
Because that was probably like the only time like I probably got scared through any of the houses, because the Frankenstein was just so stiff, it looked fake. And he's like so big, and he just moved, and he came in front of me. What the it was like,
definitely. Yeah. That was a good one. That was a good house.
Yeah.
I didn't go last year, but I'll probably go this year.
All right.
Yeah, last year I was busy doing life things. I got married.
Oh,
you know?
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much. Moved into a new place and all that. So it's now like 2023. It's time to focus back on the next project, and I'm excited for it, you know.
Awesome, man. So we'll see you again when either Grandma or Welder 2 comes out. All right.
Okay.
Or
all
when
right.
You know, whatever.
Yeah.
At any point. But in the meantime, keep in touch with us. You know, make sure you just kind of like let us know how things are going, because you know this is something we want to continue to kind of be able to track and see how things are going for you, man. So make sure you keep in touch with us and come back with anything else.
For sure. Wouldn't it be crazy if like the movie blows up and you guys are like the first podcast I was ever on? Like you guys, you discovered me.
That would be awesome. But I honestly, I can't wait for this release. I'm like just very happy for you, man. And
thank you.
You know, it's awesome that you thought of us to, you know, kind of promote this again and to come back on here. So thank you for that.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you again for allowing me to share my movie, allowing me to ramble for an episode, and sharing me with your audience. Thank you so much, fellas. I really do appreciate y'all.
No problem.
No problem.
Everybody check out The Welder. It's out today. If you're listening today when this is released, February 24th, it will be out on streaming platforms. We're thinking all of them or most of them. Or...
For sure, Amazon and Tubi, and the others are to be determined.
Yeah.
I don't know which other ones, but I was confirmed for sure Amazon and Tubi.
We're always pushing people on Tubi, so that's good. That'll be.
Hey, they're coming up. Tubi's coming up, man. They were on the Super Bowl commercial and all that.
Yeah,
they're going mainstream.
Exactly. So,
just in time for The Welder.
That's what it was all about.
That's why I had to wait so long. I had to wait for Tubi to do a commercial on the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Everyone needed to be talking about Tubi before The Welder came out. So.
For sure.
All right, man. Thank you so much. And
thanks, fellas.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all. We'll talk soon.
Yep. Sounds good, man. All right. Thank you. And everyone have a good night.